Hey, back in the game. So, os meus amigos sabem que eu preciso muito praticar o meu português. All my friends know I need a lot of work on my Portuguese. And the reason I call this hustling backwards is I'll tell you what I did and I'll tell you what I did wrong. I wanted to learn Portuguese the way that I learned. I want to learn Portuguese at the capacity that I speak English, at a university level, crisp, clean, clear, written, and pronounced. And that was wrong, because when you learn your own language, you learn it first. You learn the words, then you learn to write it. You learned what a dog was before you wrote the words D-O-G. And now, with university being canceled, I completely dropped my university course. They wanted to try and do things online, but it didn't work the same. And I decided to stop worrying about reading. Reading I can do adequately well because I started that on Duolingo. Writing, how often do I need to write something? And when I do I trust my own writing, or do I have another professional friend who's Brazilian, who is native in Portuguese, correct any professional writing that I have done? Speaking. What do I need to learn? Speaking. So I did a lot of research. I talked to a lot of people that I know online who are polyglots and things like that. And I kept getting one name over and over again. They kept saying, well, listen, you should try this Pimsleur thing, And I didn't know anything about it. I found it online, got it, and immediately I understood the difference, because the way it's advertised is like so. They say something that is kind of true, but kind of not really. They say half an hour a day. So what does half an hour a day mean? Well, for me, half an hour a day, you listen to it on your computer, or what I do is I cheat. I put it on my cell phone. It's not cheating. When you put it on your cell phone, I have a thing where I can dial back the speed of the music playing or the podcast playing. So when I put it on my cell phone, I just transfer the MP3 files over and I play it at 80%. So now a 30-minute lesson takes me 45 minutes. The thing is, you're listening, speaking. They don't do things like try to make you understand the mechanics of why a word is placed in this order. They don't make you understand why there is a certain grammar. They just teach you what the grammar is. Does that make sense? They try to make sure you understand what the words are, the correct order to put them in, and your pronunciation comes out really good. Because I can tell you another hustling backwards. I've lived in Brazil, right? So what does that tell me? I know some of the fundamentals, so I can also gauge whether or not they're teaching people things that actually make sense. One of the complaints people have about this program, the Pimsleur program, if they say, it's too formal. Well, here's why. After living in 15 countries around the world, I can safely say to you, you will never get in trouble for being too formal. If you stop someone on the street and say, desculpa, senor, onde fica na Hotel YusefWateef? Excuse me, sir, where's the YusefWateef Hotel? It might be too formal, but no one's ever going to be angry at you for that. What you can get in trouble for in a lot of cultures, including American English culture, is speaking to someone casually who you don't know that way. You're not going to say, hey, or hey, dude, or hey, bro, something like that, or speak to them without addressing them the right way first. What's another complaint people have had that I see why, but I don't think they understand why it's this way? They say, well, it's too repetitive. You know, you go through lesson 1, then lesson 2, then lesson 3. And then in lesson 3, half of that is a callback to lesson 1, and you're doing that again. Yes, it's repetitive. How do you learn anything? I don't care if it's in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which I'm trying to get back to after this COVID thing is all set. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, when you're drilling the same move over and over again, no one complains that that's too repetitive. If you're a boxer and you're drilling the jab over and over again, no one complains that that's too repetitive. If you're a chef baking that same cake over and over again, practicing that all-star recipe over and over again, yes, repetition is how you win. Oh, well, the vocabulary isn't big enough. Did you know that most people can get by 80% of a language with 500 words? They're not teaching me words for eyelash. They're teaching me how to introduce myself, how to listen to someone else's introduction, how to ask for basic instruction on where I need to go, tell someone who I am or where I've been. And I'm still on level 1. Each level is 30 lessons that you're supposed to take at half an hour a day. Because I have a little bit more time than most, I take one lesson in the morning and then I repeat that same lesson. So instead of 30 minutes, it's an hour. And then in the evening before my kettlebells, I take another lesson, listen to audio, speaking, repeating, and then I do the same lesson again. And then the next day I do 2 more. It's not a contest, but I can tell you, and for the record, I don't get any kickback from this. None. It really is good. Like it really is a good method for learning. It looks like Portuguese. Now they have lessons for a bunch of different languages. I don't know what those are. I can't tell you whether or not they're any good. And you know what? Before I forget, shout out to Ambi Gonzalez, who is a true polyglot who speaks multiple languages. And she is someone who got me on board with the Pimsleur method because she talked about it a few times. She's going to come and visit us one day soon, hopefully. We've had a couple conversations. The door is always open. Everybody's crazy right now. Go subscribe to her channel. Go subscribe to her channel because she's someone who went out and did it. She's been to multiple countries, is fluent in many languages, and also one of the people that will tell you, you really can learn a language in 6 months. Any language. I mean, from Shanghai, Chinese to Cantonese, not the same thing, to Brazilian Portuguese. But here's why most people will fail. This is why most people fail learning the language. First, they think that learning a language means being perfect in that language with perfect grammar and perfect pronunciation. You don't have that in your own language. Very few people without correct training in either how to teach a language or as a language or our language professionals do. What you can do in 6 months is feel comfortable getting off an airplane anywhere in the world and not being confused or lost and being able to sit down in what I like to call coffee level conversation. Being able to sit down, order a cup of coffee with a buddy of yours and talk about just the random stuff. Could you, after 6 months, translate a legal document? No, but how often do I do that here in the United States or there in the United States? And when I do, I hire another professional who knows the specific English to legal documents to help me with that translation for my company. Pause. I can't forget to do this. Shout out to me. For people who don't know, I'm not a YouTuber. I make YouTube videos. My main career, I have 2 things. Well, 1 thing and 1 small thing. The big thing that I do is editing, copy editing, proofreading. Right now, I can tell you resume writing has been huge for me right now. I do things professionally with the English language. I translate. I help people ghostwrite websites. I write resumes. If you have a book or a website that needs to be done in correct university English, even if you're a native speaker, that's what I do. So you can catch me on LinkedIn. I tell people all the time, don't look at my resume first. Scroll all the way down, all the way past the resume, and go all the way to the section labeled recommendations. You see, this is where other professionals from around the world say, yeah, that guy YusefWateef is as good as he claims to be. We've done business with him. We've contracted with him. He's legit. Now, what you can do in 6 months, like I said, you should be able to sit down anywhere in the world, have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and have a regular conversation. You can definitely do that. But I'm going to tell you another reason why you fail, not just overshooting your expectations, because newsflash, we don't learn our own language 100%. We're always learning new words, new vocabulary. Here's another reason why people fail. And I'm guilty of this first part, the second part. You dip your toe in too many rivers. Watch this, because this is not a paid endorsement. BK from the Rockies, thank you. Thanks for the compliment. He's an all-around badass guy to chat and hang with. And yeah, be sure, everybody, be sure to like and share and subscribe and share this on Facebook or on your Twitter or someplace like that. Listen, BK, are you learning a second language? Do you want me to send you a link? Do you want to come up and chat with us? Here's the second thing. I'll give you 4 names you've heard of. Semantica, Rocket Languages, Assimil, Pimsleur. Those are 4 different language learning techniques that are all known to be very successful, right? I like Pimsleur because I understood the method and people I trust gave it to me. What happened if I picked another one? Here's the mistake you can't make. If you say, I'm going to learn this language, research one, research a language method. Those are, I think, the big four. Pick one and you ride it till the wheels fall off. You dedicate every day for 6 months to one way of learning. Whatever instructions they give you, you just keep going. Most people will do a little of this and then they'll do a little bit of that, and then they want to, I'm going to try this other method over the weekend that I heard about. The only thing you should be able to do is the only thing I would say do is just listen to stuff in the native language, but don't go to another learning method. Now, if you want to go to YouTube and look up different things in the language that you want to learn, that's great. Rudy, boa tarde, como vai, amigo? Here's what I also tell people. Get the subtitles, right? Listen to something in that language, and if you need to, get the English subtitles so that you can start making word associations. Here's the Pimsleur one, right? There you go. That's Pimsleur. Again, they don't make me any money, but you can get an app for your phone. You can also 1 through 5 premium is expensive. And I'll just leave that there. Now, one thing I can also tell people is, and I'm going to put something on the screen so that everybody knows it's there. If you know, you know. I'm just going to leave this right. Hold on a second. I'm going to find posts. Oh, come on, button, click. You guys know I can't do two things at once, right? Like I can't type and talk to you guys at the same time. So while I'm trying to pull up something different on the screen, this is just to the optimal. Hey, I understand. When you're on the clock, you're on the clock. The door is always open for you, brother. So here's something I'm going to show you guys. Let's see. And this is for my Patreon people. Let's see. Now, here we go. I'm going to put this on the screen. And then I'm going to be quiet for a minute. Okay. Hey, Rudy, the quarantine right now, people tend to be observing it for the most part. There's always going to be some jerks out there. I can't speak for Rio. I live in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And let's see, you said April 30th. Let's keep in contact. What I want you to do is shoot me an email with your phone number and I'll add you on WhatsApp and we'll chat. We'll talk. My email, YusefWateef at gmail.com. So going back to the whole pick one and stick with it method, right? That's a huge thing. Because if you don't, you can't say it does work or that it doesn't work. But I can tell you after, where am I? 10, something like 8 or 10 on Pimsleur, it makes a huge difference. It gives you a fundamental base that really works. And I can tell you, after living here, the things that they teach you in the beginning are the things you're going to run into most. For example, even if I get into a taxi at 6:30 a.m. to have a client coffee and I've got a half an hour ride, I can't even put my earphones in and lay back and go to sleep without the taxi driver saying, hey, and what do they ask you? What's your name? Where are you from? How do you like it here? Well, those things are addressed in the very beginning, so you understand what they're saying and you can be civil and you can be cordial. And that's a big deal. That's a very big deal. That's a very big deal. I find that when you are learning solely based on pronunciation, speaking, Your pronunciation, my pronunciation, I've learned more on how to be perceived the right way from this than the months I had spent in university learning Portuguese, because my time was split: a third writing, a third reading, some speaking in class when it was my turn. With this, they literally dunk you in. First conversation, listen to this conversation. Boom, 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 boom. Let's identify the word that means this. Boom, now you repeat it. Here's the word that means this. You repeat it. Now let's repeat these words together. Let's repeat these words up and down. Here's how you do this. And by the end of the second, you can go through that entire conversation and know what the words mean. That's a big deal. And know what the words mean. Again, I'm not making any money off this. I just want to share with you guys how learning how to do it the right way, getting my ship in order and focusing heavily has made an enormous difference. If I can help anybody else, that's great. What I will tell you is Pimsleur speaks, they have lots of different programs out there. I can't speak to any of the other programs. I can tell you that I've heard some people say, well, Pimsleur is good in this language, but they're not good in that language. I know people who do Pimsleur as their hobby. Every 6 months, they learn the first 3-5 levels of a different language. Let me show you some of the other languages that Pimsleur also has, in case you're wondering. Boom, boom, okay? Look at that. They separate Spanish into Castilian and Latin American. Arabic, they have Modern Standard, Egyptian, Eastern, Chinese, Cantonese, Mandarin, Portuguese, Brazilian versus European. That's a big one. I have a friend who just started learning Twi. We just had a conversation the other day. She just decided to start learning Twi. Why? Because she lives there. Her husband is from there. So she just started. Where do they speak Twi? I don't even know. Where is Twi spoken? That's weird. I didn't click on Yahoo for that. Where is Twi spoken? Southern 2/3 of Ghana. Okay. Yeah, so she's in Ghana. Actually, yeah, you're right. I'm right. She's in Ghana. Now, here is another interesting thing I want you guys to look at. Where is Portuguese spoken? A lot of people don't understand that after Spanish, Portuguese is the language that's spoken most. So we've got 10 countries: Brazil, Mozambique in Africa, Angola in Africa, Portugal, Guinea-Bissau in Africa, East Timor, Equatorial Guinea, Africa, Macau, Cape Verde, and Sao Tome and Principe. I'm probably gonna speak all these wrong, but it's an official language in Macau. That's interesting. I learned something new today. Portuguese Macau. Let's do a quick little investigation here. Wow. Let's see. De facto Portuguese settlement. Yeah. Portuguese Macau covers Macau City. Wow. Official language, Portuguese and Chinese. Well, color me surprised. Learn something new every day, team. I did not know that. So by learning Portuguese, I've also opened the door up to minimum 9 other places. Now, Portuguese follows, I have a big language, small language theory because we've gone through this before. I've always believed that language is the way to get out of wherever you are, no matter how much, or more importantly, how little you have. Because learning a second language as your little secret skill, you not only learn how to speak another language, you learn how to think in a way that you can't right now, because there are words that don't translate. So you have to actually learn what the words mean. So check this out. I've talked about it here. I hope everybody goes and looks at it when I talked about language. If you just put in language in my YusefWateef on my YouTube page, language cheap and free, I've long advocated language is a huge thing. Now, big languages: Spanish, huge language; Mandarin, Chinese, huge language. I would call Portuguese a small language. Well, how does Portuguese fit in? Because again, I always think about business. When you become one of the few people that's fluent in Portuguese and English, your business opportunities open up. I exploit that right now. My Portuguese is terrible, by the way. I don't want anybody to walk away from this thinking that, Wateef, you went out there and you got your Portuguese on tight. And no, I don't. But the fact that I'm one of the few people who's a native English speaker who also goes out and gets some things done in Portuguese, there's not many. There's not many. So that means I'm special, more special than I actually am. Boom. That's it. That's the whole thing. End of story. I'm not telling you it's perfect for you, but I'm telling you right now, especially while you got time on your hands, let's just say you got another 30 days before things return to a point where you can even go in and out okay. Just 30 days. You can get through section 1. You can get through the first third of level 1. That by itself is a big deal. Talk to me. If you actually want to do this whole Portuguese thing, anybody that completes that whole first stage to get to section 2, let me know. Maybe I can arrange a round table here where we can all chat together. Because I want, let's see. I want to also show you where the levels are. What does it say? There is a page here under the Pimsleur slide. What they talk about is, let's see. Come on. They talk about the Pimsleur levels. They talk about how level 1 should get you to the common, what do they call it? Common European Framework for Reference Languages. They call it CEFR. Now, look at this. So if we go tools and we go large, let's see, I'm trying to find a simple one to show you. These are learning language levels that are universal, okay? If you start at the bottom, A1, Pimsleur is supposed to get you to A2. It's supposed to get you to A2. Now think about that, to go from A1 to A2, and I think it would be 3 months. That's a big deal. That's a very big deal. To go from pre-A1, right there, starter, to A2 in any language, that's a very big deal. Especially when you're doing it for a half an hour a day. When you're doing it for a half an hour a day, it gives you, how can I say, it gives you a power to know that you can learn this. That's why they say it's easier to learn your second, third, fourth, fifth languages with no problem at all. So as I said, this was a nugget that I wanted to give everybody. This is something that I'm hoping all of you get an opportunity to do, whether or not it's with Pimsleur or another one. I can tell you Pimsleur is the one that's been working for me. Let me know in the comments. Make sure you say something. Oh, by the way, hold on. Let me show you guys something else. This is the language proficiency levels they talk about. Intermediate, low spoken proficiency. Upon completion of the, hold on, let me make it bigger. Upon completion of the Pimsleur Comprehensive Level 1 program, 30 lessons, the learner will have achieved spoken language communication skills at the intermediate low level. This level is characterized by the ability to participate in simple, direct conversations on everyday topics in everyday situations by being able to satisfy immediate needs, such as ordering food and making simple purchases, and being able to establish rapport with strangers in a foreign country. My goodness. That's where you should be at 30 days. I can tell you after the first 7, 8 lessons that I've been, it's well on that way. Because what people don't seem to understand for a lot of this language learning things, it's not linear. You're not learning A, B, C. You're learning at a progression. It's exponential. So you go 1, 1.5, 2, and it goes and stacks on top of itself. It's not the same progression every lesson. You're building and building and building. I never want my conversations to be longer than they have to be. I want it to be, you know, with my YouTube videos, I want them to be like a girl's dress, short enough to keep you interested, but long enough to cover everything necessary